Right then guys, my friend DJ Copyright has a show coming up and he said he needs some beats for it. So today we're going to be jumping straight into making some dark trap. Let's jump straight into Ableton. Okay, so when I'm making really dark trap melodies, one of the first things that I like to do is select a dark scale. Now obviously you could just use the minor scale, but there's a few options here that are even darker. Some of my favorites are the Phrygian, the Locrian, and the Hungarian minor. Now the Hungarian minor is really dark, that's often used in horror movie soundtracks. For the beat today, I'm going to select Locrian just because I quite like to work in it. I'm just going to leave this on C# here. Next, you want to set a tempo. So for this one, I'm going to go up to about 165 BPM. And 9 times out of 10 when I'm making this kind of melody, I just start with a really simple piano just so I can hear the notes. We're just going to keep it really simple here on quarter notes and just placing 4 notes. We're going to make sure that we utilize these tension blocks. Key to this kind of melody is just to keep it really repetitive. So usually I'll just repeat it for the first 3 bars and then I'll switch it up on the 4th bar. In fact, I think we could even make this quicker and do it on 8th notes. So I'm just going to click this button here. Sounds a little bit crazy when it's playing that fast at the moment, but you just got to trust the process and get to the end product. So for the first 4 bars here, I'm just going to randomize them slightly. We'll just copy that over to the second 4 bars. So now that I've got some really simple notes in, I'm just going to switch out the sound. I was feeling some kind of like analog keys, so I've loaded up the June 6 by Arturia, and I've selected this Girl in Africa sound. Gives me those kind of dark murder vibes already. As we can see here on our EQ, there's a lot of low-end rumble that's not really affecting the sound, so I'm just going to take that out. Then the key to making these kind of really simple melodies quite full is to layer them up. So we're just going to bring in a new MIDI track. We're going to copy this over. We're going to go with the second layer. For this one, I've just come into Analog Lab and I'm going to find a nice pad sound. Quite feeling this one, 45 Sassin Sam. Bring the level of this down. Take out the low end as well. Then on this one here, I'm just going to take out some of this high end. I think we could also add some kickstart to this layer just to get a bit of kind of movement. Once again, we're just going to copy this layer over. For this layer, I've just gone for the Jupiter 8 and I've selected this harp preset out of the keys bank. As you can hear, all the layers work together. Once again, we'll just pull out any bottom end rumble. And then once again, we're just going to double that over to another layer. But on this layer, I'm going to take it 1 octave up just to fill out some higher frequencies. We'll go with another preset from a Jupiter 8. For this one here on the higher layer, I've just gone for this Glocken preset. Next, I'm just going to convert that down into 1 audio track so all the melodies are together. Now that we got that all consolidated, I'm just going to make sure there's no low end in, as I can just see a little bit getting through. I'm just going to freeze and flatten this to imprint that on the track. Now there's a few ways that we can go about making this darker. One of my favorite ways is to reverse parts. So I'm just going to go into the 8th note and we're just going to reverse these in place. It's kind of subtle, but it just makes it darker. Just going to join this layer together with Control and J. Now, one of the absolute go-to effects for making dark melodies is Output's Portal. Now, on top of the stock banks, there's all kinds of third-party banks out there. If you don't have any third-party ones, a really nice one to get that's free is this iBang preset bank. It's got some really nice effects in here. Straight away, gives us that kind of really dark, kind of granular feeling. The next step for these really dark melodies is to bring in a low piano note. One of my favorite presets to do this with is this Notto Del Concerto. Just going to add this on a root note, take it up an octave as well. Now to add some variation to this, I'm just going to switch it up halfway through the 4th bar, and then we'll do the same halfway through the 8th bar. For the next step, I just want to add in a really simple counter melody. Now, I think it's really important that you give plenty of space here still. So I'm just going with these concerto strings out of Nexus 5. Really simple, loads of space on them. I'm just going to go ahead and quantize these. It's just a really simple run down the tension notes. The next thing that I want to do here is add another counter melody that just plays a call and response with these strings. So I'm going to load up Analog Lab and maybe try and find some bells or some keys. So the preset I'm going to go with here is this lovely dulcitone. On this layer, all I've done is put the root note down and then just these tension notes again. Just kind of adds to the atmosphere and the ambience. Just going to take the low end out. And then as far as effects on this layer, I've just added some really simple delay. Got it set on 1/2. Got the mix at 70%. Brought the feedback down a little bit and I've just set it to ping pong. Obviously, at the moment, we've got everything dead center, so let's pan some things out. So if we take this string here and select split stereo pan mode, we can then pan this over to the left. Pan this one over to the right. Kind of widens the stereo image. So I think the melody's sounding nice and full without overdoing it. So let's go ahead and add some drums. Really basic pattern. And then just add a little bit of bounce. I'm going to select a second snare. Maybe add in some triplets as well. For the hi-hat, I'm just going to bring the sustain down so it's a little bit tighter. And I'm just going to control the length with this decay. Just going to start by putting down some really simple eighth notes, but I'm going to drop the velocity of the second one just slightly. Put these all the way along. Let's add a little bit of rhythm with some triplets. And just drop the pitch on these as well. And then just add some variation here. I'm just going to add in some lower notes. We'll bring the velocities down on these though. Once again, just keeping it really simple. If you overcomplicate the hi-hats, I find it kind of limits where the artist can flow on the track. Just to clean up my screen a little bit, I'm going to delete these original tracks here. Now we can bring the volume of everything down so we can do the 808. So for this type of beat, of course, I'm going to go with the spins. As much as I like using different 808s, I always seem to come back to the spins. I'm just going to go ahead and set this into one shot. Keeping it really simple with the 808. Once again with the 808s, I've just kept things really simple. I know this is going to be used for artists to freestyle on, and part of your job as a producer or a beat maker is to make it as easy as possible for the artist. Now you can go crazy and add rolls and all kinds of things like that, but I feel quite often when we're adding all these extra things, it more impresses producers than it does artists. In all honesty, rappers just want to hear there's plenty of space for their voice, which is meant to be the main part of the track. So add a clipper to this 808 and just make it bang a little bit more. Just going to bring the ceiling down slightly and bring the knee up. Now we can bring the volume down. Just going to bring in a really nice punchy kick. This will just really simply follow the pattern of the 808. these hi-hats up a little bit. Let's go ahead and add some random panning on these as well. I think the snare can come up just a little bit as well. Time to add some percussion to this and get the bounce going a bit more. So I'm just going to start with a crash. This will probably only be used in the chorus section. As always, I'm just using the Ember crash out the Keep It 500 kit. Completely free kit, link in the description below. Just going to add this open hat next as well. Another thing that I like to add on these beats is that stereotypical tubular bell sound. I usually have it around here, C#3. Sometimes I do like to take it an octave higher, as I just feel it adds a bit more kind of urgency to the beat. But for this beat, I'm just going to keep it here. Sometimes I'll switch it up in the verses as well and take it the octave up. I think the beat's sounding pretty hard though. So that's it for the main part of the beat. As you can see, building these dark trap beats can be really simple. I'm going to go ahead and structure it out and add some transitions, and then we'll take a listen to the final beat.